Hey there guys, welcome back. This is Devil Cube Tutorial here and welcome to a brand new cinema footage tutorial. It's been a very long time since I made a cinema footage tutorial because I was pretty busy over the past few weeks and I got a new phone, the OnePlus X. So I've been checking out that phone and uploading quite a few of gaming videos and all that, so feel free to check that out. In today's video, we're actually going to do some modeling. We're going to be modeling an alien. We're going to be using the sculpting tools and the modeling tools to make an alien. I actually got an email request from one of my subscribers, and he wanted me to make some character modeling. So I thought, let's go ahead and make one. So let's get started. So let's start off by going and grabbing a capsule. And I'm going to go to display and choose Gaussian shading lines so we can see the lines over here. I'm going to press S on the keyboard so we can have a good look at the object. And I'm going to change some settings over here. So the radius, I'm going to set that to 280 centimeters. Okay, and click OK. I'm going to set the height to 950. I'm going to set the height segments to 3, the cap segments to 4, and the rotation segments to 8. So now if we hit S, we can actually, radius was 100, so we have to change to 280. Okay, so there we go. We have a nice big capsule. So now you can see the capsule is kind of low poly because we want to model it in low poly, and then we can add on the subdivision surface to smoothen and round it out. So once we have these values set, I'm going to go and hit C on the keyboard or click on this button over here to make it editable. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into our edge selection, and we want to press UL on the keyboard to get the loop selection, or you can go to select and choose loop selection. And we are going to go and select this loop over here, and I'm going to press T on the keyboard, and I'm going to scale it down on the X and the Z to till it reaches, say, around 540 centimeters. I'm just going to type that 540 centimeters. Okay, so that evenly scales it completely inside. Then I'm going to go and UL again. I'm going to grab this one, and I'm going to set this to 540. So 540. Oops. Let's scale that in manually. So we select the loop. You want to hit T, and you want to scale it down to it reaches, say, around 538, something like that. You want to select this loop, the middle loop, and hit T, and we want to scale this down to, say, something like 530. And we want to select this loop again down, and we want to scale this down pretty much, give it a little bit of a tapering effect. So we're going to scale it down to, say, something 520. So give it a nice cute body. Now I'm just going to go to the option. I'm going to go to the filter here. I'm going to uncheck grid because I don't want to see the grid, and because it's kind of irritating me. Okay, and then let's move ahead. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to go and choose our points mode, and you want to go and choose the rectangular selection, and you want to make sure only select visible elements here is checked off. So what that happens is, now if I go into my front view by pressing F4, and I can actually go and I can select all these polygons, and if I go back to my perspective view, we can see that it has selected all the visible elements which are not visible as well. And I'm just going to press T, and I'm going to scale that down to say like 90% down to 90%, and that looks pretty okay. I'm going to go and select my loop selection, and I'm going to select this loop, and I'm going to scale it down even a bit more, so pretty much down to, say, something, we set that to like 490 centimeters. That looks pretty okay. That doesn't look bad. And anyway, it's going to be rounded off, so it's going to give a more natural and a gradual feeling. So then let's go back to our points mode, and let's go back to our front view, and I'm going to hold down Control with the rectangle selection and select these points to deselect those points. And I'm going to hit T, and I'm going to scale these up a little bit. Okay, and we can select these points, and we can hit T, and we can kind of give it a nice gradual curve, if you know what I mean. Okay, so that looks pretty decent for the alien's head. Now we're going to be getting the tentacles for this alien, and I'm going to be showing a pretty new technique on how to do that, which I haven't shown in any of my tutorials so far. So we're going to select the capsule, and I think I'm going to go a little bit more refinement over here. So I'm just going to come in over here and I'm going to select these pieces. I'm going to hit T and I'm going to bring them a little bit inside. Okay, so that is looking more better. So I'm going to go and select my light selection tool and my polygon mode, and I'm going to hit UL to get the loop selection, and I'm going to select this loop over here. Now we want to extrude this. So we are not going to go and choose a right click and choose extrude. We are going to choose a matrix extrude. And then what we're going to do with the matrix extrude is apply some settings. So if I just extrude, we can see we have these cool tentacles kind of in effect. You know what I'm saying? You know, it looks amazing. You know, it looks like a spaceship that's landed down. It looks really good. So let's just adjust some settings over here so that we can make it look more believable to our eye. So I'm going to set the steps to 6, because steps is basically the length. Okay, so I'm going to set that to 6, and I'm going to set the movement over here on the Z to 60 as well. Okay, so basically the more you move, so let's just set that to 60. Then I'm going to set the scale here to 90, and I'm going to set the scale on the Z to 85. Okay, so we're giving it some nice thickness. And now the best part is to give it the more feel is by rotating it. So I'm going to, you know, you can see it's kind of grabbing it. You know, it looks pretty awesome. So I'm just going to set this to -5, so it's flat on the ground. Right there. -5 looks. So once we have that, I'm going to go and select my live selection mode, and I'm just going to go and select this bottom part over here, and I'm just going to push it up because we want a flat body. Okay, and that looks pretty well. It's sitting decently, nicely there. Okay, so once we do that, we want to remove some of the lines. So I'm going to select my line mode, and with my live selection, I'm going to select basically 4 of these lines, and I'm going to go right click and choose dissolve, which removes those lines because we won't be needing them. So let me go to the top, and I'm going to do that as well. So I'm going to select these 4 lines. I'm going to right click and choose dissolve. We can add them back later on if you want, so that's not going to be a problem. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be deforming, giving it more life, because it's completely straight, it has no movement, it looks very dull and blank. So we're going to go and choose the bend deformer, and we're going to drop in the bend deformer inside the capsule. Now if you're using Cinema 4D R14 or 15 and above, we have an option that says fit to parent. Now as soon as I click that, you can see it creates a bounding box exactly to the size of our object. So you need to make the bend a child of the capsule. Now the deformers must always be the child of the object you want to deform. And now we're going to go into the bend, and we're going to change some settings. I'm going to set the strength of this to 12. Okay, and then I'm going to set the angle to 90. So basically it's kind of at the back, it's like bending back. That's looking good. And I'm going to go into my front view, and actually let's go into our right view because that gives us a better look. And we can just move this slightly up because we don't want the whole legs also to be affected. We want only the torso part to be affected. So I'm just going to go and gradually move this up to a point where the legs stick to the ground. Okay, so say something like 155 centimeters. And let's go back to our perspective view. I'm pressing the F1, F2, F3, F4 keys to do that, by the way. So now we can hide this bend deformer so that we can so we don't need to see it. Okay, let's just set it to default 12 and 90. And we're going to be using one more deformer, so we're going to go and choose the FFD deformer. Now FFD deformer is an amazing deformer which helps you to deform an object in any way you want, any wish, any perspective you want to deform an object. You can use the FFD deformer. So I'm going to click on fit to parent again, which is going to fit to parent, and now we can see we have some grid points. Basically it looks like a cube. So now once we have our FFD deformer, the way you want to edit this deformer is by using the points mode. And once you do, you can go and select all the points that you want to deform this object. So we're going to select all these points, and here you can see that only select visible element is ticked on, so only the points I want to select is selected. So if you move it, we can see it moves along with the object. So we want to just go and push this slightly back to say something like 60 centimeters, or we can set that to 65. And let's go into our front view, or basically our right view, and we can hit R and we can give it a little bit of rotation to give it a more natural feel, to say something like -7 degrees. Then what we can do is we can go and select these 3 points over here, and we can kind of push them back, or we can select only 2 points, or actually only 1 point, and we can push that out back. Or I mean, it's completely not necessary, but it's up to your taste and preferences. So I think I'm just going to go select 1 point and give it a little bit of bend. That's all. So now once you're happy with your shape and the deformation you're doing to the object, what you can do is you can select the object, you can right click and choose current state to object. Now what that does, it makes a copy of the object, as you can see here. Now if I hide this object, you can see on a single object which is already deformed into the shape you had already deformed with no deformers. So now that looks very cool and interesting. So now we're going to go and make the eye. So let's look into our front view. Okay. So and then let's go back and let's see which is the front. Yes, this is the front. So we want to go in and we want to select the polygon selection, and we want to select these 4 polygons. You want to hit I on the keyboard or choose right click and choose Extrude Inner, and you want to give it an offset of 50 centimeters, and we want to go and drag it again and make another offset of 40 centimeters, and then we want to hit delete. So now we have this kind of a nice opening where we can place our eyes. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to give it a basic shape of an eye. So let's go and grab a couple of points. So we're going to go select these 4 points, and okay, let's just select these 2 points and these 2 points, and we just want to drag them down slightly. And if we want, we can actually go and select a rectangular selection, and we can select all these bunch of points that we have, and we can kind of move them up. So you know, it's okay if those 2 points are selected, that's completely okay. And we can also go and select this point that we have here and bring it slightly down. Let's actually select both these points and bring it down. Actually all these 3 will do, and bring it down to give it a nice opening. And now we can go to the edge mode, and we're going to select all these edges. So we want to select only these outer edges, so let's select them again. Okay, so we have all these outer edges selected, nothing else is selected. So now I'm going to right click and choose Extrude, and probably I'm going to give it an offset of 15, and I'm going to take and move it to the back, you know, not too far in, a little bit, so say something like -180 would do. And I'm going to press T and I'm going to scale it out so it kind of flattens out. Looks like you know, an exact hole, so let's just give it more flat out. Okay, there we go. So this looks amazing. So now let's get the eye. So we're going to go and grab a sphere, and I'm going to set the radius to 125 centimeters, and I'm going to go and rotate it on this side. So we have the opening over here, so 90 degrees, and I'm holding down shift while rotating to snap it, and I'm just going to go pull it out a little bit front. Okay, so give it a bad offset, not a really good looking offset. Okay, so let's drag it out front. Okay, and we can push it down as well. Okay, something like that. That is looking good. Nice look for the eye. See, it's already looking amazing. Just a little bit of changes to make. So after we set the position, we want to go and make it editable by hitting C on the keyboard. And I'm going to go and into my polygon mode, and I'm going to select all these polygons, and I'm going to extrude inner. So we're going to right click and choose Extrude Inner, and we're going to give it a nice offset of say 15 centimeters. And once we do that, we are going to push it back slightly. So let's push it back a little bit more. So say something like 115, okay, 110. And once we do that, we can hit D on the keyboard, and we can get the extrude. So we extrude it back slightly to say something like -3 centimeters. And then once we do that, we can go select our loops over here. So you want to hit UL, select this, and we want to hit delete. And then we do that. Once we do that, we're going to go to the sphere. So sorry, we're going to select all these pieces. We're going to hit T, and we're going to set the Y over here to 0. So it's a flat disk, and we can scale it up to cover the whole area. And now you can see here there's a nice eyeball and nice bending eyeball and a flat eyelid. We can go and start sculpting. So we can go to the layout mode over here, and we can choose standard. Sorry, I'm completely sorry. We want to choose sculpting, and now that puts us into this viewport where we have a lot of options over here. So we can go into the objects panel. We can select our capsule over here, this capsule, and what we can do is we can go and choose subdivide. So once we do that, we can see we have a level over here with a bar and with the base object, which is basically this object that we have over here. And if I go into the objects, you can see we have a sculpt expression or a sculpt tag applied to it, which helps us to basically do a lot of sculpting. So let's go and start sculpting this alien. So now we want to make sure that whatever we do is symmetrical. We don't want to do on both the sides. So we want to let Cinema 4D do it for us. So this keeps becoming big, so I'm just going to shrink that. Okay. So what we want to do is in the base object, we want to choose, sorry, in the options manager, we want to go and choose grab. Now we have all these data which I don't want, so I'm going to go to filter, and I'm going to remove that. So by removing HUD, which removes that, and now we can choose the link symmetry, and under symmetry we can choose X, Y, Z here, and now as you can see, whatever changes we do happens on the other side. So I'm going to Control Z that. Okay, now how do we increase the brush size? You can use the square brackets to increase the brush size, and under settings as well you can manually do it. And if you choose the direction, we have two options over here, and preview mode, on surface, and all that stuff. And I'm going to check keep visual size. Actually, I'm not going to check that out. I'm just going to keep it like that. So let's go and get a size of 35, and we can go in deeper and start sculpting it. So we can select this point here, a little bit move out, we can select this. Basically on your preference, whatever you want. I think we can shrink down the head a little bit. Let's Control Z that. We want to go and shrink down this part of the head a little bit here, something like that. Okay, we can shrink this down a little bit as well. Okay, and we can pull down the base a little bit more if you want a kind of a fat alien. And we're going to go and do a little bit of changes to the eyelids. So let's just grab that, and we can pull these out. Okay, let's select the right points. So we can see we're going to pull out the eyelids, not too much, not too shabby. Let's reduce that size down to 30, or let's reduce that down to 25. And we can take the point over here and drag that out. We can take the point here, we can drag that out as well. So basically it updates on the other side as well. So I think we can move this a little bit more out. Okay, we can take these points. So basically you're meddling with the points of the polygon. Okay, that looks more realistic now. And we can do a couple more changes. So we can take this and we can move this out to the side to give it like a nice opening. We can pull these things down. We can push it up. Not make it look too ugly and shabby. And we can bring this down as well. Yeah, that looks pretty decent now for me.
Subdivide again.
Okay, so once we do, and we can see we have more polygons over here. So let's make this eye look a little bit more organic. So we can go and we can push these up, put these down, we can push it out. So basically you need to be in the proper perspective to get the right look and feel. Okay, we can actually move and we can pull these out. Yeah, that's looking more better and nice. We can take these points, push it back up. We can take these points, push that down. Yeah, see, that's looking more better. And now we also have an option to decrease the subdivision. So we can increase it and we can increase it. So let's subdivide. So let's give it a lot of subdivisions for us to work with here. So in case you guys want to go back down and do some changes again, so I think I'm going to go back down and go back down again, and I'm going to make some changes over here. I'm going to push all these up apart, and I'm pretty happy with the body. So okay, the only thing we can do is we can increase the size to around say 30, and we can start pushing these in. We can give a little bit of out on the near the side of the eyes. Make sure you don't screw it up pretty bad. Okay, that is more looking good. And I'm going to increase the subdivisions to level 3. And if I go to display and choose ground shading, we can see how it looks like. And that is looking like a very nice and a good alien. We can do some adjustments here at the bottom. So I'm going to go to display and choose ground shading. I'm going to decrease it and I'm going to pull these out a little bit more. Okay, let's give it in some subdivisions. Yeah, you can give it a little bit more subdivisions here from these side. You can pull those out a little bit more here, here. Yeah, now that is looking more cool and crazy. Let's pull these down. Okay, so now I did a little bit of small changes, and this is looking really good and interesting. So now we're going to go to display and choose ground shading, and now we're going to add some wrinkles. So we're going to go and select pull over here. And how are we going to do this? So we are just going to go here, and I'm using a mouse, which is going to be a little bit of problem. So I'm going to set the size to say something like 15, and I'm just going to go and click all over here, so we can actually do that from here. You know, some nice wrinkles. I think the pressure we can set that down to 10 because I feel it's too much. So let's go and do that. Let's just go and pull those in, and then we can go and add a little bit more here. You know, look, add some nice wrinkles. I think we can actually set the pressure to say something like 15, and the more random it looks, the more better is the feeling. So we kind of have to keep trying. Yeah. And we can go down and do some wrinkling. Now you can see it's completely flat over here, so let's just go, and I'm going to increase the size of this to 20, and just go on adding some wrinkles, and I'm going to do it bottom as well. So okay, looks like more like a creepy alien. And now we can go here, and on the side we can just go and add it right behind the legs. Maybe increase the brush size of this to 30 for this. Get a bigger brush size. Pressure, let's set that to 25. We can Okay, so give it a random feel. Okay, we can look at the sides later. So let's go up here, and I think this is some good wrinkling. So let's reduce the size down to 20, and we can add in some more wrinkles here. Let's set the size down to 10, and we can doing some serious thin line wrinkles. Yeah, that's looking much better. We can add that up here as well. Yeah, it looks more crazy and creepy. And let's set this to like 40, and give a little bit of randomness over here. Just do a little bit of pulling and pushing, and you can hold down shift to smoothen that out. You can see it kind of smooths everything out, kind of pushes back everything into place, making it a little more organic and natural. Yeah, that's if you hold down shift. The next one we can use is the wax tool. So we can come probably in, set the size down to 15, and you can probably wax out this area like that. You see, if you feel that there's too much of problem you're having, it's not looking good, so you can probably come and wax out all these areas. Let's go to the top, and we can actually go and do it for the legs as well. So let's go here and do it for the legs. So let's increase it to 25. I think the pressure is too much, so let's set that down to like 15. And we could do the same over here. And let's do that on this one. Let's go to the back. Yeah, and a little bit maximum on the side. Now you guys have to play around. Sculpting is one of the most important things to make a character look good. And one more thing we can do is choose the knife tool, and we can go and make a sharp edge over here. Let's reduce the pressure of that down to 10. Let's set the size of that to 15. And now it's pretty sharp, so we can go and select the smooth tool, and we can kind of smoothen this out. Okay, the pressure is pretty too much, so I'm going to set that down to 40% of pressure. We can zoom in, and we can just smoothen it out to give it a nice little wrinkle. You can actually also go and choose the flatten tool, and that basically, let's reduce the pressure of that down to like 60 and size to 15, and we can go here, we can kind of flatten this out. Something like that. We can reduce the pressure of this down to 30 and move upwards to gradually fade out that pressure. Something like that. Okay, that's looking more better. And now we can choose pinch, and we can pinch the top edges to make it like a more curve, like a nice holding place for the eyes. You can pinch again to make the wrinkles more visible. Yeah, that's looking good. Now let's go and do some changes to the legs. So we can use the wax tool. Let's zoom out. We can probably reduce the size down to 15, and we can just go and wax out these corners of the legs where they intersect. Get a more gradual feel. and we can look at the base, and we can go and select the knife tool, and we can start adding some nice cuts like this, not too many. You know, some decent cuts. And we can kind of probably, so okay, we have one cut over here and one cut over here. Yeah, that's look good. That's looking good and decent. So now let's add some grumpiness to this face. So let's get the grab tool, and we can increase the brush size. Let's pull that out slowly. A little bit of grumpiness. Okay, that looks a little bit angry. That's okay. I think we can do a little bit more. Okay, so that's looking good. Looks like an angry alien. Let's do a little bit more. So pull this out. You can pull this apart out like that. Okay, so that looks really spooky and scary. Maybe you can push these back in a little bit. Let's set this to 40 and okay. Select the pull and we can pull it out. Okay, maybe we can use a smooth tool and smoothen this part out. Yeah, okay, that's looking much better. Maybe we can give this guy a little bit more of attitude. So I'm gonna go and select the pull tool, and let's increase the size up to 40, and we can pull this guy out big time. Select the grab tool. Okay, that's looking even more better. That's look amazing, and maybe you can push that inside. Yeah, you can see some head wrinkles. You push them. Let's increase the size to like 60, and okay, I think that's okay. It's looking better. And we can use the pull tool, and let's set the size, let's set the pressure to say something like 35, and the size down to 25. Let's see if we can add some nice wrinkles. Probably set the size down to 20. Okay, let's set the size down to like 10, and let's see if that works out. Yeah, it's coming out. Okay, so I made a little bit of changes to this, and we can increase the size of this to 20, and then what we can do is we can add some kind of a antenna kind of a thing. something like that. And then we could actually use the wax tool and we could do that. So then we could use the pull tool and just get some nice crazy look. One out to the back and then the top of that, just push it out like kind of a deadly nerves or something like that. And we could use a smoothing tool and just smoothen it out slightly, not too much. Okay, to give it a bit of roughness. Okay, now this looks really crazy creepy. We could do the same thing. Let's take the wax tool and move around the sides over here. Let's use a pull tool and start pulling these. Okay, now that looks like a crazy awesome alien. And then we can use the smooth tool and just smoothen it out slightly. Could even use the wax tool and wax that out nicely. Okay, that is looking pretty nice. Okay, so now once you complete modeling the full alien, we're going to start applying some materials. So let's begin. So before we start adding materials, there are a couple of things that we want to do. So I'm going to hide, I'm just going to call this capsule body, and I'm going to go to the sphere. I'm going to hide the body, and here in the sphere what I'm going to do is if we go into the lines mode, we can see that we have the without the lines we can see there's no sharpness over here. So we want to add some sharpness. So how do we do that? Pretty simple. If you take a subdivision surface and you drop it in, you can see that it smooths out the whole thing. And to prevent that smoothing out, what we're going to do is we're going to hide the subdivision surface. We're going to come to the sphere over here. We're going to right click and choose the knife tool, and in the mode we're going to set to loop, and we're just going to add a cut over here. So you need to make sure you're in the points mode to add this. So you make a cut over here and a cut over here, and then when we put on subdivision surface, you can see we have this nice sharp edge. Now we want to make some selections. So let's hide the subdivision surface for now, and I'm going to select the polygon mode, and we have some polygon selected over here, and I'm going to go to select and choose set selection, and I can select, so we get a polygon selection tag applied to the sphere, and I'm just going to call this pupil. And I'm going to click away so that nothing is selected, and I'm going to click on the sphere again, and I'm going to select all these polygons, and I'm going to select the next set of polygons as well. Now you can go on manually and select it, or you can press UL to get the loop selection and select it, or a cool new technique is by pressing UY, which is the grow tool. So as you can see, as soon as I press UY, we can see there's a grow selection. Or if you can't find it here in select and grow selection, you can use UI to do that. And once we do that, we want to go to select and choose set selection, and now we have two polygonal tags. So when I double click on this, it selects this one, and I double click on this, it selects this one. So let's go create a first material. So here we're going to go to the color, and I'm going to set that to complete black. And I'm going to remove the specular, and I'm going to rename this pupil. So oops, pupil, and I'm going to drop it on the sphere. And now, as you can see, as soon as I drop it on the sphere, it takes the whole color. So the whole object applies the color to the whole object. So to change that, we want to go and click on this material texture tag, and here we have a selection, and that's where I'm going to drop in my selection tag. And now you can see it drops it only on the eye, on the pupil. So let's go create a new material. I'm going to call this eye main, and I'm going to set the RGB values as 190 and 190 and oops 190 and 190. Give it a little bit of reddish shade, very less red shade, and then we're going to go into the spec. And I'm going to set the width to 35 and the height to 30, and I'm going to check on reflection, and I'm going to set the brightness to say something around 40%. Okay, so I'm going to close this, and we're going to go and create new material and call it body, and we're we're just going to go to the color and choose a color for now. So say something like 55, 60, and 220, something like that. And let's make one more color. We're going to call this iris, and let's make it caps. Oh my god, what the hell is happening? Okay, and we're just going to give it a color, a reddish color, say something like that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the eye color over here, drop it on that, and we're going to take the red one as well and drop it on that. And in the red, I'm going to drag in the select selection tag. So now we have something that looks like this, but we can see the red color has disappeared. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this eye main and I'm going to put it out right in the front, and now we can see we have a nice eyeball. Okay, so I'm going to make this iris color a little bit more red, oranges. So I'm going to set this to 180 and probably 50 and 50, and that gives a more orange, reddish effect. Okay, and now let's turn back our subdivision surface on and our body, and we are going to take this body and put it on this. So now we have this nice texture on it. Maybe I want to change it to a dark green, so I'm just going to move the slider, and or probably let's leave it at blue. That's completely okay. And now we want to do some rendering. So how do we do the rendering? So we need some lighting for that. So if I go here into my render settings, I'm just going to go to effect and choose global illumination, and we want to go and create a sky object. Okay, now I'm going to press Ctrl R to render, and you see we have something that looks like this. Now we want to give some reflection to this. Let's hit Ctrl R again. So we want to give some reflection to this. So let's go and grab some material for that. So let's go grab a new material, and here in the material I'm going to check on the Luminous channel, and I'm going to go to texture and I'm going to go load image. So we have a picture that looks like this, and I'm just going to go open that up and say okay, and we are going to go and drop this on the sky. And then we're going to go right click, Cinema 4D tags, and choose a compositing tag, and we want to uncheck a scene by camera. So now in the scene we can see only the alien. So let's just hit render and see what we get. So there you go, we can see some nice render over here. So we can see the little bit of the reflection on the eye. So one more thing we can do is we can go to the body, and in the specular we can set this to 30 and we can set this to 60, so we have a sharp spotlight. So if we hit render again, you can see it's more you can see the more amount of specular hits. So now let's add a spotlight. So we select a spotlight, and I have some default settings over here which I'm just going to apply. You guys can copy that down. So on the X I'm going to set this to -1600, and on the Y I'm going to set that to 200, 2000, and on the Z I'm going to set that to -1400. And if we zoom out, you see like that, and we're going to give it some rotation. So in order to get the exact look, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to let's say cameras, navigation, sorry, use camera. Okay, we want to choose camera, set active object as camera. So what that does is that makes sure that the camera is, you're looking at the spotlight's perspective. So if I move down, you can see that, so we just place it over here, and if I go to cameras and choose navigation cursor mode, excuse me, and we go back to navigation, use camera, default camera, we can see the spotlight hitting on the alien. Okay, so you can go in here, and we can go and turn on effect and choose ambient occlusion, which adds a more amount of depth and realism. And anti-aliasing we can set that to best, and also under the sky general properties we can set the shadow types to ray traced hard. And now let's make a quick render and see our final output. So now you can see it's taking a little bit more time, but we're getting a beautiful render. You can see the nice shadows here, and look at the nice specular hits and the nice curve over the eyeball. It's looking pretty cool. If you want, you guys can go ahead and add in some reflection. I think I'm just going to reduce this down to this height to say something like 40 and the width to 25. Okay, now as you can see that when I hit render and the render is done, we can see it's quite uniform, and it's not that realistic. So to add some effect of depth and realism, I'm going to go to the body over here and I'm going to check on the diffusion channel, and then I'm going to add in a Fresnel texture. So now as you can see here, there is complete black and it's merging and it's fading out to blue. So I'm going to go to the Fresnel channel and I'm going to move this white slider here, and I'm going to move this black slider, and I'm going to just change this to a simple gray color. Okay, you know what I'm talking. I'm going to move this a little bit back, and this maybe you can make it a little bit dark. And now when we hit to render, let's see what the changes we get. Yeah, so now you can see the level of depth. So we have a nice color. So in the front we have dark, and then it's going back and becoming blue. So if you zoom in a little bit more closer to this angle, so you move around. Okay, let's render and see what we get. Yeah, now you can see the proper depth and realism of the alien. Now we can add a couple more things. So let's go and choose the luminous channel, and as soon as we put the luminous channel on, the whole thing turns white. I'm going to go choose a Fresnel texture, and here in the Fresnel I'm going to set this gradient to complete black, and black means that it is not going to apply anything. And here we're going to add a red shade, so something like 50, 70, and probably 150. And we're going to move this black marker right in the center, and probably move this out to the side. And if you want, you can change this to another color. So I'm going to go and make it to a dark spooky red, something like that. And now let's hit render and see what we get. Okay, so now you can see it's kind of in a dark lit area. So as it looks very nice and cool. Okay, it looks pretty cool. So let's make one final render and see how it looks. Okay, so now it looks even more better. So I just did a couple more tweaks inside, and this alien is looking really actually very nice and good. We can go to the light settings over here, and we could probably bring this down like that over it. Maybe we could add a little bit of intensity to set this to like 130, get more lighting and all that stuff. Okay, so basically that's the end of the video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it and learned something pretty new. It was pretty big and a new tutorial for me as well, making such kind of a video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and feel free to check out my other animation tutorials, and I also make gaming videos on Clash Royale and make some gaming reviews as well. So feel free to check that out in the description, and I'll see you guys in another animation tutorial or a gaming video. Till then, take care and bye bye.